Welcome back, guys. So today we're going to do episode 3 of this Make an Emulation Station theme series. Hopefully this video will be a little bit shorter. I apologise, first two are a bit long, but there's a lot to cover. So we've already talked about remoting to the Pi and we've started to edit a few things. Today we're still going to focus on the main menu, but we'll do the background and the system info, which is the game count. So we'll do that. If we get through that really quickly, we may do the help text at the bottom of the main menu, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so I've already remoted to the Pi here, like in the last video, and we're going to edit the main theme XML again, which is what we've been doing. So let's have a look. So we're still up in this main top area here, but we're going to focus on the background first, which is the forest here, and this young lady, etc. Let's have just a quick look at the files. The files are located inside the theme in the _inc folder, then in the images folder. Okay, there's really two files we're going to talk about, which is the main _bottom.png, and you can see it's just the background of the forest with this black sort of shaded area that the wheel art, the carousel goes across. I've got a wooden plank here, and that's because that's where we're going to put the game count or the system info. And then we've got a main top. So if you've been following the videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's this lady who sits over the top of the wheel art, is her own image. Now both of these images are 1920 by 1080 and 16:9 ratio, what I'm making the theme at. It's easier to do it. You don't have to do it that way, but if you do it, you can just put the position in the very top left corner. The size is 100% full screen, and it all just works, and you're not fiddling with trying to position things with position and size, etc. So if you've got Photoshop or any of those other image editors, just start with a canvas of 1920 by 1080. It is important though, the kilobyte size of these images, you need to try and keep that down. So with ES it doesn't really handle a lot of big images because it loads all these images, which includes all the wheel art, backgrounds, etc. And anyone who's used Emulation Station for a while will know that some themes perform a bit poorly. It's a bit slow loading images or white screens, etc. It's nothing to do with the creator of the theme really, apart from the fact that the images were just too big, and it's getting quite difficult with so many systems being supported now. So I usually make the image first, and it might be 2 or 3 megabytes, and then I run it through some sort of optimization software, which there's plenty out there. Just Google that, just to bring the size down. You just got to get that balance between getting the size down but not losing too much quality. You can see the main bottom PNG here is 940 kilobytes, and the main top image is 247 kilobytes. Probably wouldn't want to be much bigger than that. Anyway, so that's the two files. So let's have a look at the XML. We've got two background entries. We've got one that's just called background, which is the main bottom, and one that's called background 2, which is the main top. Need to call these different names. Doesn't have to be called background, but if they were both called background, yeah, it wouldn't work. I actually don't know what this extra true bit does on the end, but I only just discovered the other day that I took it away, and it wasn't working. Actually, I didn't take it away. I didn't have it there, and it wasn't working. I couldn't figure out why, and then I figured out it was this. Because usually I don't create a theme from scratch. I usually take an XML from a previous theme or another theme, and then just start chopping it, changing it, and editing it. And this was obviously missing because there must have only been one background. I think you need it when you've got layered or multiple background images. Anyway, let's get into it. So this background, which is the main bottom, again, so let me wake that up, is the forest one. So origin is the originating location of the image. Default is top left corner, which is 0, 0. I don't really use this too much because I make my backgrounds 1920 by 1080, which they fill the screen anyway. So let's just change one of these values just so I can show you what it does. And the best way to learn what these things do is obviously just to muck around with them. So 50% there, it's moved it to the left. Okay, so that's what it does. We won't play with that one too much today. Update that, actually we'll update the theme in a minute. So position again is sort of similar to origin, but I guess with a mix of origin and position, you could position the background image around. Generally the way I do mine, the background just takes up the full screen. So we learnt that in episode 2, the position is the horizontal and vertical position of the image, 0, 0, or it could be 0.0, doesn't really matter. We'll save that. So because we've got a full screen image, we're going to start in the top left corner. Size is 1 or 1.0, either way, doesn't matter. Again, same story, because I've made the image 1920 by 1080, we want it 100% of the screen. Let's just change this to say 50% horizontally and vertically. See what happens. Yes, okay, let's go update our theme. And there we go. So the background, similar to what we were doing with the carousel in episode 2, you remember we had the carousel in the top right hand corner because we were playing with this size. We've done the same with the background. Alright, so let's just change this back. Okay, Z-index we covered also in episode 2. The Z-index of the wheel carousel was 3, and remember 3 sits above, this one, which would be 2, which is what we're seeing in the theme. So we're not even going to change that. You guys understand what that does now. And the path. So the path is just the pathway to where the background image is located, which is in the ink folder, images folder, underscore ink, sorry, not just ink, images, and then main underscore bottom.png, which is this file here, which is on the Pi, and that's where it grabs it from. It doesn't have to be called images, it could be pics, it could be anything. As long as you get the path there, it'll be fine. Okay, then background image 2 is the main top, which is the lady. All the same stuff, this one, all the same stuff happening there, but Z index is 4, which is putting it above 3, which is the carousel, and then 2, the background image is at the bottom. The path is to the main top.png. Okay, easy. So I mean, just for experiment's sake, if we put the lady at 1, that's going to be under the background image, so she should disappear by rights. There we go. Sorry, let's see, you can see it. Now it's happened. So that will happen sometimes with changing backgrounds and images around. Just refreshing the theme or reloading the theme by changing the view may not do it. And if you're not sure and think it should have changed, just restart Emulation Station. You don't have to reboot system, and it will fix that. So let's put this back to 4 for that lady. Save it, and I'm just going to restart Emulation Station. Okay, just to make sure, save a bit of time. That's it for backgrounds. You could have 3 layers, 4 layers. you'd have to change it to background. You'd have to have another entry like this and call it background 3, background 4, etc., and play with the Z index, and you're good to go. Okay. Alright, theme is back to normal. Okay, so let's talk about system info. System info is this game count here, where it lists the number of games, just a text. So we're going to just move the position and color of that. A position here is saying 0%, which you would think is the horizontal would be 0, which would be right over on the left hand side of the screen, and position vertically is 71%. So this does look about 71%, but it's certainly not over to the left. And this is one of those things where by default the origin is in the middle of the screen, horizontally, sorry. So it needs to be 0, which puts it dead center. So it's quite bizarre. Let me just show you what I mean. So if I change this to -20% and update, reload, change the view. Might be a bit hard to see with that black text. Oh no, there we are. So it's moved it out to the left. And that's because we're using a negative value, moving it to 20% left of center. If we make that a positive value, you'll see what I mean. If you can see it there, it's over to the right hand side. Okay, so we're going to put this back to where it should be. Whoops. But we will just do the vertical height, so 71% down. If we wanted to move it down a little bit further, let's put it to 79. Save. Back out. Reload, and you'll see it's gone down a little bit. Okay, so let's leave it there. We've got a background color of transparent, which is the 8 zeros. We'll change that to white. Just show you what it does rather than explaining it to you. There you go, puts the white bar. So that bar is actually there all the time, but because it had 8 zeros, that's a transparent background. We could not have the entry there, but just left it there so we could show you. So you might like to do it like that. I think in the earlier themes, like in Carbon, it had a bar like that, and you could play with that. So let's... Okay, so that's the background color. This color here is the color of the text. Now it's usually a 6-digit code. 6 zeros is black, so you'll see the text is black at the moment. So I'll post a link in the description. I spoke about it in episode 1, but there's a website called htmlcolorcodes.com. I just use this section at the top here, and you can find any color you like. So if we want to change the text to say maybe it's I don't know, green, let's pick some random green. Like this, it's this 6-digit code here. I just copy it, go back to my theme, paste it, save it, update it, reload the theme. Now we've done a few changes here, we've removed the bar, etc. But you'll see the text is now green. Okay, what we might do is actually make it just a dark blue for the hell of it. Make it a dark blue, and I'm going to move it also back as well. You can do multiple changes in each save. You don't have to do one thing at a time. So once you get into it, you look at 2, 3 or 4 things, change them, refresh, take a look, come back, tweak, tweak, tweak. Okay, we're going to save that. the text should now be sort of a dark blue colour and back right over that little plank in the background. Not a great colour, but it's just to demonstrate what we're doing there. Okay, the font path. Okay, so the font path is the font you want to use, so you can use a specific font just for this element. If we go back to the ink folder on the Pi, remember there was a fonts folder and I listed about 7 or so fonts. Well, the font I've used here is this growbold.ttf. Okay, it is case sensitive, so this name and path, obviously you have to name the path, has to match the name in your. Now if you don't have the font inside that your fonts folder or inside the directories and the path, yeah, it will error out and your Pi will go back to the command line, and it's very annoying. So what we'll do, we might just change it from growbold paste to this open sans bold, so we'll save that. I just want you to take note of the font style. That's the previous one. And there we go. Text is totally changed. Let's just leave it like that. But yeah, so you can do that. The font size is a percentage again, so it just makes the font either bigger or smaller. So 0.3, let's change it to 0.3 to maybe say 10%. Probably way too big now, but let's take a look. Just a little bit too big, but you know. All right, so that's font size. We'll just put that back. And the last thing is Z-index. Oh, I must have put that there by mistake. Z-index. You already know what that does. Z-index of 5. So the system info, this text we're doing, is sitting above the lady. It's also sitting above the background, and it's also sitting above the carousel. I've just done it at 5, so it's definitely on the top. It could actually be 3. 3 would be fine. Okay. Oh, we won't change that. We'll probably have to. Oh no, let's try it. Let's put a ZNX1. Should disappear behind the background. Hopefully it does it without having to restart. And it's gone. It's actually there. It's just working under the background now. Okay. Z-index of 5. That's fine. The font size is 0.3. Okay, and that hopefully puts it back to where it was. There we go. Okay, I think that'll do today. We'll try and keep this this video a bit shorter. So we've just spoken about the background images, a bit of Z-index and positioning, and the relative path. And then the system info, which is that game count. We've talked about there is a transparent bar we've got there, the position of it, the color of the text, the font path, font size, and Z-index again, which pretty much covers the main menu now, although we are going to talk in the next episode about the help, which is the help along the bottom of the screen. So yeah, hopefully I can record that again soon, and we can keep this ride going. Thanks guys, see you on the next one.